Hello, it's Mark from Cars and Cameras, and today we're going to talk about a very unique camera. It's basically two cameras in one, and this is the Canon R5C. Now, I had the original Canon R5 for quite a while, and I really enjoyed that camera because of a couple of things. The first thing is, well, it took amazing photos, but it also had 8K video. And as you can see here, I'm cropping in on this little hummingbird. And when I crop in, I'm still at 4K. Now you can see all your connections there. You got your HDMI, your mic jack, and your headphone jack, and your USB-C power in. And on this side, you have your SD card slot, and you also have your CF Express Type B slot. That's I'm using that slot for recording all the video. And you have a fan there, and you can control all the speeds to that. So basically, it's like a Canon R5, but just a little bit thicker. And it feels really good in the hand. And I have to say, from owning the Canon R5 for quite a long time, the video out of this camera is a little bit different. It's a little bit nicer, and I don't miss the built-in image stabilization at all. And the big one, I'm happy to report, zero overheating. I've used it hours on end at 8K video at 60p with zero overheating. And this is 8K 60p slowed down to 24p. This camera does have a micro HDMI port. I'm not really worried about that. These are the two cards that you can use with a camera. Of course, the SD card and the CF Express Type B card. Those are the cards that you can use in the camera. I use the SD cards for still pictures and use the CF Express card slot for all the video. Now in this 8K shot, we're gonna look at it just as the picture is here. And in the next, we're gonna rewind it and I'm gonna crop in. So as this lady is gonna, well, it looks like she's gonna cross in front of me. But what I'm gonna do is, this is how it was originally shot in 8K. Now here's the shot again, but now this is me cropping in on post on her. So you see what we have here? We basically have coverage that we created in post, and we're still within the 4K limits. That's really amazing. As an editor, this is game changing that you can do that. It really is. Okay, so it does have a flip out screen, and I have to tell you, it has an amazing viewfinder, and the viewfinder is pretty much what I use all the time. I leave that flippy screen closed. I don't really use it. I'm more of a viewfinder. If the viewfinder is sharp and clear, that's what I want to use. Now let's talk about ease of use. Basically on this side, you have all your function controls. And up front there, you have this function button. And what's really great about that is with that button, I can very quickly get to my ISO settings. Also, I can change my white balance on the fly. It's all right there. Basically, I can see it right in the viewfinder or see it on this screen on top of the camera if I want to reference that. And then here, we can switch from video mode, and you can switch it to photo mode. And what's really cool about that is when you turn it into photo mode, it turns on, it's basically a Canon R5 without IBIS. And you got that 45 megapixel still sensor. And the menus in the camera are just like the R5, basically like the Canon still cameras, which is really cool. So it's basically a hybrid camera, two cameras in one. And at first I was like, well, I don't know about this, but the first time I switched it into photo mode, I was like, I like this because all of the settings for photo are there. You can see it here on the screen. It's really cool. Here's a few more still samples, and it takes amazing stills. I primarily shoot a lot of video, used to be quite a still shooter, but this is making me want to shoot more stills because it's such an amazing camera. And here's a few more 8K shots. Now let's talk about the downsides of this camera, because with every camera you're going to have downsides, and that is that little battery there. This camera will burn through batteries like crazy, and you can see here I basically have it hooked up to a battery brick, and that brick needs to be hooked up to the camera if you're going to shoot 8K 60. Basically, I was walking around with that thing in my back pocket. Now that battery is a little bigger than what you really need to use. You can actually use a smaller battery and it'll work just fine, but the camera overall is really great. So I would say its only real weakness is the battery. But here's the cool thing, is if you run out of battery in video mode, if you switch to still mode, well, you still have quite a bit of battery left, which is pretty interesting. So you can still keep shooting stills. So one thing is, yeah, it will burn through batteries pretty quickly. I would say a little bit under an hour. But I would say the performance that you're getting out of the camera is more important than the battery life. And if I'm really worried about running out of battery power, I can hook it up to a battery brick. And that's how I use the camera, because right now I only have one battery. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see here, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.